Well, good evening, everyone. A very warm and cool welcome here in City, the home of Melbourne United. It's fantastic to have you all here. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge the Bunurong people of the Kulin Nation, the traditional owners of this land on which we meet today. I pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and recognise and celebrate the diversity of our first Australians and their ongoing cultures and connections to the land and waters. A very warm welcome to our information centre about the Melbourne United Sport and Business Program, powered by Cedar Group for our 2023 program intake. Thank you for joining us here at Hoop City, as I mentioned before. We're very blessed to have such an amazing facility, and one of the things we love being down here in Cheltenham is actually introducing people to the facility, and as you can see, we feel like we've got the best facilities in the whole of the NBL, and to have our program here and the opportunity for the students to feel part of that and part of the club is something that we're really looking forward to working with you on. We look forward to providing with you as much information of the program as possible and answering any questions you have. The purpose of hosting an information session is to offer prospective students and families an opportunity to find out more about the program and hear from the current students, teaching staff and of course the club. This will assist in the decision-making process for families to decide if this is the right educational choice for you next year or beyond. The outcome of this is to generate some excitement and to motivate you all to take the next step and submit an application. Just a couple of quick things from us of why we were so excited to be part of the program. The first is that we had already had a strong partnership in place with Cedar College, which did a great job of exposing students to our game day environments and was instrumental in helping us run our major sports events week to week. Identifying our next steps for many of these students made a lot of sense to us. Secondly, we strongly believe that across our high performance and administration departments, there was an incredible opportunity to give students access to that and exposed to how sports teams run on a day-to-day basis. Our club values rest very heavily on providing opportunities to community groups and individuals, and education fits very nicely with that. In terms of the highlights, I think launching the program during a pandemic was incredibly challenging, but the students and teachers did a fantastic job of staying engaged. We've had 2 students from that year working within the team this past season, which has been great. Moving into Hoop City was an important point in time as it allowed us to properly embed students alongside the high performance and administration teams. I think when you think about it, when we have our players and coaches here on a day-to-day and the students as well, the great opportunities, and we do notice that when the breaks are on, the opportunity for the students to come out and watch training and really, one, get to embrace what the team culture is all about, but actually feel part of the club, and the high fives that the players would give the students on the way back into class was always a daily highlight. First and foremost, I'd like to introduce Christy Evans, the National Marketing Manager at Cedar Group, to talk about the program and partner with Melbourne United. Let's welcome Christy.
It is my great pleasure to be able to share some more information about the program with you all. I've been at Cedar Group for the past 3 years, so I have had the pleasure of seeing this program come to fruition from launch to really embedding in as part of the Melbourne United business. So it's really exciting to see how the program just keeps coming from strength to strength. So a few program outcomes. As you've already noticed, it's a dual diploma, so that's a diploma in sport and a diploma in business, and that runs over the course of 12 months, so it's a 1 year where you cover off both of those diplomas. The dual diploma brings together sport and business. So what that means is, you already have a bit of an understanding of what sport is, participating in sport and how that kind of comes to life, but also seeing the behind the scenes of what that means to run a professional sporting organisation. You'll get an understanding across both areas of these business. So as Nick touched on, the high performance side of things, but also getting a bit of a look behind the curtain. So what does it actually mean to run an organisation from a sporting perspective? You'll get an insight into the off-court operations, so things like commercial, marketing, administrative operations, membership. So for anybody who's kind of interested in pursuing a career in sport, but you're not quite sure on what that could look like and what those opportunities are, it's a fantastic way to really get an understanding of what those roles could look like for you. So as I mentioned, enhancing your knowledge in the sporting industry, Many students kind of, as I mentioned, they really are interested in sport, but they don't know what that means to them. So it's an applied learning environment, which means that all of the curriculum is tied into what Melbourne United do from a day-to-day perspective. We work really closely with all of the administrative staff to make sure that everything's tied to what you're learning. So we're helping to achieve kind of mutually beneficial outcomes. So while the students are learning about the business, you're also helping Melbourne United to achieve their outcomes. So you're working with them to understand their strategic goals, what they're trying to achieve for the year, and helping them to work through that, whether that's through students doing placement within the club or through workshops or any of those sorts of things that you get the opportunity to be integrated in throughout the year. So all of the work that you're doing is really contextualised to the business, and the learning outcomes are helping the business to grow. So if I just jump down to the bottom right-hand corner there, we talk about unrivaled experiential learning. So what does that actually mean? You get to test out those career opportunities. Over the past kind of 10 years, I worked in sport in a previous life before coming to CEDA, and the roles that have expanded over the past 10 to 15 years are enormous. So really learning, what are those opportunities? What does that look like for you? And how can you try to get a foot in the door? So not only is the curriculum immersed in Melbourne United, we're here right now at Hoop City, which, it just goes to show how connected you are to the business, but really getting to understand that through the curriculum and what you're doing day to day in the classroom. From a pathways perspective, a lot of our students choose to do further study. So we have articulations with over 50 university partners. So in your program guide, you will have received a little leaflet which outlines what they are for this year, but also maybe looking at what your career move is. So you might choose to complete the diploma and then move straight into the workforce. Throughout the program, you'll get to understand what that could look like, and you'll get opportunities to network and connect through the program. So some key information, as I mentioned, it's a 1-year dual diploma. So intake for 23 starts in January. Generally speaking, it'll be the last week of January, and then that's your orientation week, and then the classes start the following week at the beginning of February. So the current program has 30 places available, which is one class, and you'll notice, you might have seen the classroom on the way in, it's just you would have walked past it through the corridor. But Melbourne United and CEDA are really committed to growing this program. So if the interest justifies it, we'd absolutely love to put on a second class, but my recommendation would be get your applications in early, because it is first come, first serve. But if we've got plenty of you interested, we'd love to be able to put on a second class. It's a 36-week program, so that's run over 4 terms of 9 weeks. So pretty similar to what you would expect from your regular kind of schooling terms, and it's a 9 to 3 program day. The program is blocked and blended learning, but it is predominantly face-to-face. So the classes are really designed to have you here, integrated in the business, really hands-on applied learning. So Jono will talk to you a little bit more about what that looks like from a day-to-day point of view. But it is across 4 days. So students usually have a Wednesday off. And as you'll see over here, there's an opportunity to participate in a placement of up to 80 hours. So that is really pivotal to the program, and you walking away with not only your dual diploma, but some real world experience that you can put on your resume. So whether or not you decide to take your pathway to further learning, that's fantastic. But if you want to go straight into the workplace, you've got your connections, you've got your networks that you might have met throughout the club or through your placement, and you're feeling really confident that you can take that next step to take on the workforce. So generally speaking, students will do that on a Wednesday, but that's really flexible. We all know that the sporting industry is not a 9 to 5, Monday to Friday kind of a job. So students might be doing their placement on a weeknight, over the weekends, working in the community, helping out the club on game day. There's plenty of opportunities to get involved, and we really encourage students to be leading that placement. We'll be there to support you if you need any help, but students, we like them to take the lead on that. And as I've already mentioned, Hoop City. So we're better to have the program than at the home of Melbourne United. As Nick had already touched on, you get to work every day, come here, see everybody, get to know the names and the faces of all of the admin staff, rub shoulders with the players, really part of the team, part of the family here, and it's an amazing experience. That's all from me.
Thank you, Christy. I think I look back on my career of 25 years ago or so, if I didn't have that opportunity to have this sort of pathway. I did go to university in the end, but I always had the passion of wanting to get into sport. And I couldn't think of a more wonderful opportunity for young girls and boys, for the opportunity who are really passionate about sport to get involved. And I've been here 12 months and just absolutely loved the environment. And I think from a parent's point of view, it's so important that you feel like your child is coming into an environment where they're going to be able to thrive. And I think that's something that we can definitely offer. And as an administration group and a playing group, we're really proud of the association with the students and really embrace that opportunity to engage. And each day the kids go home with a big smile on their face, and then on game day, the opportunity of being pretty much the best seats in the house at a Melbourne United game at John Cain Arena. The students are there, and just their work ethic and makes us really proud, because they're part of our club of getting better, as Christy was saying, and I think that's a really big part of what we're doing. One of the great things about being here, of course, is the teaching capability that the kids would have, and we've been really proud to have John O'Bence as part of it this year, and we've learned a lot from him, from his program facilitation of the programs, but just his persona, and I think that's a really important thing. So, Jonathan, welcome. Come on up, Jono.
Thank you, Nick Trewson, who's our CEO, and I say our because that's how I feel. Personally, I wasn't a basketball fan, and when I applied for the position, basketball didn't rate on my scale. I wouldn't want to go anywhere else. I feel very welcomed, but also feel very valued. And this man leads the show, but we have three values, and again I say we: selflessness, inclusiveness, and excellence. And many organisations have values. Many of them profess them and publicise them, but I can say wholeheartedly, Melbourne United actually live them, and we've become part of that organisation. So we're very proud of this connection, and I cannot thank Nick for his leadership, and Suzanne and also Nicola, who bring that to us. So we're really proud of what we've got. This is almost if Christy was actually in our class, because what she was saying is exactly right. My role here is the teacher or facilitator. We have a student here who will speak a little bit later on, but the areas of study are the most exciting element. One thing is to have the theory, but it's also to have that practice. But the subjects here in the areas of study: project and event management, which we are actually doing in this term and then carries on into next term as well. Marketing and entrepreneurship. We have the marketing person from upstairs comes down. So Tom will talk to us. Laura talks to us and explains and has meetings with us. It's real. The issues that we actually deal with are what Melbourne United live every day. Advanced coaching. We have fortunate enough the Dean walks in and says, "Yep, Norris, I'll spend an hour with you." We come watch training to see the best team in the NBL train every Tuesday and see. It's first-hand experience, it's priceless, and we get that through our course. Sports psychology ties into the sports factor. So when we are coaching and moving into our basketball, how does that relate? How do we actually communicate? And how do we understand where psychology plays an important role? Sponsorship and fundraising. The one emphasis that our students are educated in is that this is a commercial operation. Basketball's budget is a lot smaller than AFL and other sports. And having had an experience in tennis and also in AFL, you realise how hard we have to work to actually achieve media space, commercial space, and also advertising and marketing. But again, those figures are very real, and we're exposed to that and given examples of actually how do you develop a marketing strategy? What do Melbourne United do in their connection with their sponsors? How do they build relationships? What's important with their partnerships? So we're getting those experiences to be able to go forward. First aid is something we require at every job application, and we actually do that as a class and incorporate those. The other key units there are my plan, my placement, and my career. Largely, this course is also about personal development. You may come into not too sure where you want to be. And if I look back where I was this time 12 months ago, this job really wasn't on my horizon at the time. So therefore, that development, that growth, who are you? What skills and talents do you possess? Where do you want to be? Where's your passion? What things do you learn? What things don't you like to do? And a lot of those questions are difficult to answer, but that's part of the program. We're working together and working through that. We have the great assistance of Suzanne, who works with us from Melbourne United, and we sit down together and we can discuss with students and have that goal, have those directions, and ponder and to understand who you are and what's your why, what makes it worthwhile to come and do something. This may not be your course, sport may not be your thing, but at least understand where you want to go and explain to students that that's an exciting time in their life. They've been given a fortunate opportunity and support from their parents, and now's a chance for you to step up and take the opportunities that are given to you and enjoy the experience that you have. So the three things there of my placements gives you that hands-on experience. If weekend work and you don't enjoy coming along, obviously the sporting industry may not be for you. Hey, if it is organisation, is it structure, is it coaching? We have a student, Peter, who's very keen on coaching. So we actually get him involved with the other coaches here and with the coaching programs. So we actually be able to guide him directly and give those hands-on experience. So when he does go into the sporting field, he can say, yeah, I've worked at Melbourne United, these are the programs I've been involved. The power of the brand and the experience just takes you to different places and opens many doors for you. So we're really proud of what opportunity we have, but also with our course structure. We've spoken largely about the school, I was going to say, but the student experiences and that opportunity to be on game day, and as Nick said, the A-grade seats, the first-hand experiences of actually having that. So it's real, and they get that chance to understand that it's a lot of hard work. And at 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, after the game, you're there ripping things up off the floor. So it's real. But the other amazing thing is everybody does that. So there's no sugarcoating of what the sporting industry is about. You understand that there is a passion tax, and there's that love and joy, but it's hard work. So it's pretty real and pretty honest in our course program there. So at the end of your diploma, not only will you understand what's involved in your studies, but also what's involved in your work ethic, and you get that exemplified by our staff here. The practical placements are fantastic. The 80 hours we cover very easily, whether it be holiday camps, whether it be fundraising activities, many activities there here that the Melbourne United organise and allow us to be involved with. So, and it's very well coordinated and organised there. University pathways, I'd like to highlight a sheet that you have here. Liz is a lady who works with us who has a great understanding of where the universities sit and your understanding of what opportunities go forward. We did point out that it does say the accreditation goes forward and you will get credit for your units, but that comes down to particularly what you want to do. But we have a very well detailed document there, which I won't speak to, but we guide you with that. So if it is university, and I have one student here who wants to do physiotherapy next year, so we sit down with that person and say, okay, where do you want to go? What do you want to do? What university you need to? This is the information. So while it's a dream, while it's a goal, there's some practicality to it as well. So those universities that we're connected to in our pathways do give us a chance and have a hit in going forward with further education. While practical experience and being job ready is so important, the emphasis of education is the number one. It's a ticket we talk about, and it's your card, it's your ACE card. If you've got education in a further degree, it gives you then a chance to go further and develop that. So while it's a sporting and a practical industry, the education value is very highly emphasised, but also guided towards to give them practical examples going forward. And this is the part I like to talk about the credits there. Is it equivalent to 1 year? When it comes down to units with universities and requirements into courses changes, but this document and with Liz's advice and guidance, we can actually make sure that's tailored. So the students halfway through the year, are you serious about what you want to do next year in a university studies? Okay, this is the units we need to go with. These are the credits you're going to get. Have we been to the university? Have we followed through? Have we checked all those things? So it's working with them and guiding them in their way for that future development. That's me. I'll hand you back. Thank you.
Thank you, Jono. And I think just listening to Jono and Chrissy speak, I think there's 52 professional teams in Melbourne in sport. It's quite amazing when you think about it. There's more professional teams in Melbourne than there are in the whole of California in the US. And when you think about the population differences between the two, I think it shows the pathway opportunities of working in sport are unbelievable from what they were 10, 15, 20 years ago. The amount of changes in digital technology, all those opportunities and all the young people in here today are much more savvy on digital than all of us here, but that you can start to see that there's the opportunities that are really opening up in that area. And I think it's good for you to all know our purpose. Jono talked about our values before, but our purpose is around the power of basketball on and off the court. And when you think about off court, the community element is such a strong focus for us. And seeing the students each and every day, that's what makes us really proud here as a club. If we're making a difference in all of those young people's lives, we can see what they're going to really develop. That makes us know that what we're doing is what we're here for. And I think that's good for you to all know that when they come in here, they're in a safe environment, a really exciting and learning environment, and a place that we're excited to thrive. And we're at that part now of the evening where it's exciting to be able to introduce some of our panellists, and I think this is a really good opportunity for you all to hear from current students, past students, experts in the area, which will hopefully form some of the questions that you may want to do. So, to kick it off, Melbourne United and Sport and Business Program alumni, Aidan Wynn. Welcome, Aidan. If you want to know anything about basketball as well, Aidan's your guy. From a current student point of view, Max Benjik, come up, Max. Jono has mentioned Suzanne a couple of times, but our Community and Customer Service Administrator, Suzanne Jenkins, welcome. And Jono, you've got to come back up. One at a time, Suzanne. So Suzanne, you work closely with the students, of course, in the program, and in particular the connection between the students and the broader business. Could you tell us a little bit about how that works day to day?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. So on a day-to-day basis, my role is to connect the club to the classroom. So Jono and I work very closely together in bringing our team upstairs into the classroom. Each of the units that are relevant and require some input from us, we make sure that all of our head of departments come in and speak to the classroom. Then we do 40-hour placements, which I'll unpack a little bit because that really connects the student to us upstairs. It's run over 6 weeks, 40 hours. The student will meet with the head of department. They'll give them a brief that they've put together on specific to their area, obviously, and then they'll work alongside the student to bring that brief alive and to get the student to a place where they can put together a great presentation. Yeah, that's sort of the main thing that I do, working closely with Jono and the students.
Aidan, we'll go down the end. It would be good to hear a bit about your journey, but also since then, what have you been up to this year?
Well, last year was a whirlwind with a few lockdowns at the start, but once the year got started, I really enjoyed the program. If you don't know what you want to do but you love sport, I recommend definitely doing this program. I'm currently doing a Bachelor of Sports Media at Homestead, so I found out what I wanted to do during the program. I hope to get into sports media industry for sure.
If you want to know anything about what's happening with the NBL in the free agency period, Aidan's your guy too. But Max, being a current student, what's sort of been the highlight for you so far?
So yes, there's been a few things so far. One of the main ones has been having guest speakers come in. So we've had some Paralympians come in, people from Nike, and also there was Dean Vickman who came in. So that was really cool having him come in, talk to us about his career, how he got into coaching, and also all of us as a class being able to ask him a bunch of questions about how that all went down. And then also having placement, I actually did get lucky enough to have, in term one, have a placement upstairs with Melbourne United. We've also had major projects, which I personally found heaps of fun to do. One of the ones we've done so far was like a Shark Tank pitch. So we did, basically for Melbourne United, we had to come up with ideas of something that we think they could add to their organisation. And then from there, we actually had people from upstairs come down and we actually had to pitch the idea to Melbourne United, and they gave us all advice on what they would look for compared to what we're looking at and ways to improve it, and yeah, stuff going from there.
John, it'd be good just to give the students, the potential students, just a bit of an overview, what their expectations coming into the program.
Coming into the program, we are looking to do a diploma course. and the requirements and the assessment tasks, and Max will vouch for that, or vouch for this, is it's very hard work that we need to actually put in, and the requirements. We don't set the course. The government state what is actually required. Our job is to actually say, this is the practical learning, and here are the assessment tasks. So we will guide them and help the students through that. So you probably need to be able to come in with an open mind, that you're really willing to have a go and embrace the opportunities that come. Engage yourself, but also listen and learn, and knowing that, yeah, what the course you've done this year has been really good and has given you that interest and passion towards sport. But next year, if you do take on the course, you're actually doing a tertiary study. So therefore, the requirements and the commitment will go higher, and Max will be able to speak briefly about that. So being honest with yourself, are you prepared to really make those hard yards and make that commitment? Are you prepared to put the legs underneath the desk and do the work that needs to be done? Or are you just thinking maybe it's an opportunity for me to go off and do something else? Because it does cost you money, and it does take an opportunity for you. So be honest with yourself. Is it something you really want to do and you're going to work towards? And that's where you'll get so much more out of it when you are committed, open-minded, and willing to have some fun.
Great answer, John. And I think just the community aspect as well, and the friendship groups that we've seen form, I think don't underestimate that a lot of the students come from all parts of Melbourne, and that opportunity to learn from about different people and different cultures is something that don't underestimate that as well. But Suzanne, what advice would you give, for the potential students around wanting to get in the sports industry and opportunities that may come out of that?
Yeah, sure. Clearly, the diploma is a great place to start, and as has been mentioned along the way, we certainly support you to work through what your future looks like in the sport industry. And it's critical when you join this diploma that you are prepared to give your time in placement as well as game day. We offer camps that you can volunteer at, and that's going to give you loads of experience to go into the workforce and also move on to uni. The connections that you'll make through us, we recommend that you get onto things like LinkedIn, start getting yourself a profile out there, and we'll certainly help you to connect to people within our organisation and also our sponsors and partners, all those sort of people we can connect you with for the future.
Thanks, Suzanne. I think a really important question for Aidan next is, what the experience that you had last year, how's it helped you get to where you are today?
It's taught me a lot, because it's taught me how to be vulnerable, like to, open change. Also the workload, like you've got to be prepared if you're doing further study that, it's not the same as it was when you were, like it's a big step up from year 12 to year 13, talking marks. But I believe, it's vital that you just need to be, you need to give 100%. Like if this course isn't, like John has said before, if you're not going to be prepared to give in, then I don't think this course is for you. But if you love sport, go for it. That's my advice.
Max, it's probably good just to get a couple of other highlights this year, but also what's the sort of career ambition that you've got coming out of this as well?
So yeah, as I mentioned, there was the placement had upstairs. That was amazing. I had it with the ticketing and membership team. So that was really cool to get an actual insight onto what a professional organisation looks like from that perspective. As for career ambitions, I'm sure Jen will be able to vouch for this, that my absolute dream would be absolutely anything involved in NBA, even if it was as a janitor. But then a little bit probably more achievable is I would love to have a job here with Melbourne United at some point in the future. So from this course, going through and looking at uni, further work placements, things like that, and this whole year just giving me lots of tools and experience that I need in order to go forward and do that. Because obviously it is a lot more handy to actually be yeah, I've done a placement with them, instead of being yeah, I watched your game last year. So yeah, it's good that way.
That's a really good answer, and I think I know back in the day, work experience was one of those things that you always wanted to do, but the opportunity of doing hands-on work experience but actually doing it as part of a course is something that's pretty special. And Jono, just from a skill set point of view for the students, what are some of the skills and even the life skills that they'll get out of doing a program like this?
Absolutely. Communication. The key one is actually to be able to speak, be able to understand, be able to identify, be able to verbalise your thoughts and your emotions and understanding your feelings, but also be able to empathy and where are we at with what we want to do. So that's one of the skills there. Leadership is probably another one. This man beside me has shown and grown enormously in that area there. Relationship building, to be able to look people in the eye, to be able to communicate, to be able to understand, read the signs, know what's important is really important. Thinking. The answer's there. You know, we get a situation, here's the workload, and here is what the assessment task or the practical side is. Let's think it through. Let's understand. So my job as an educator is not telling you what to look at, but where to look, and coming to bring those learning practices in there. But the skills of adaptability is really important. And Nick's come from an AFL background. I've come from a tennis and an AFL background. Many different sports. So that adaptability to understand that the dynamics, the logics and the learnings that we have in this sport will carry you into many other different sports, and be able to have that opportunity even ahead of high performances come again from a different sport. So it equips you to allow that to understand that the sporting industry is larger than basketball, but the essential skills that you'll grow and learn with will hold you forever.
I might just stay with you, Jono, for the last one, but your passion really shines through, and I think that's great for all the parents and the students to see. What do you get the most enjoyment out of seeing, having the alignment with Melbourne United as part of the program?
Seeing the growth and seeing the actual development. This man beside me has grown enormously to be able to actually work part-time at Hoop City and have that opportunity to grow as an individual and as a man is something I'm really proud of. The efforts and the energy, the commitment, and the person to be able to interrelate to each other. And again, as Nick said, we have a diverse group of people who come to our group, and to see them flourish and feel valued, but also things click together in those learning moments, those challenges that they don't think they could actually have done, and to grow. So that nurturing, and this lady here is incredible in that, not only in what she does leading us in our sporting industry, but partially as well. And largely part of my role is personal development and actually guiding them to be good quality humans, which is what's expected at this club, but is also what is lived in all faculties.
Thanks, Jono. I think before I'll just give you all a warning, there's some question time coming up, so just think about any questions you want to ask the panel, myself, Christy and the team, and other team members around here. But there's a couple of things that are really important. Once you've applied, you'll be contacted by phone and email with details of your pre-enrolment requirements. This includes an interview, pre-training review, and a language literacy and numeracy test. The purpose of this is to ensure the suitability of the program for the students. Positions are limited and we guarantee availability. If you are interested in the program after what you've heard tonight, we recommend getting your application in as soon as possible to avoid disappointment. If you've already applied but have not booked in for an interview, please contact the admissions team throughout the week to secure a time as soon as possible. If you are yet to apply a QR code, we'll go up to the conclusion of tonight's session. You can scan that to apply. Now, just want to throw it open to the floor. It'd be great to get some questions from the floor if there's anything you want to ask. As I mentioned before, Suzanne will be happy to take people who didn't get to do a tour, another tour if they like as well. But yeah, we'd love to have some questions if you've got some.
Question. The credits after the first year, the diploma, if the students decide to take a gap year or a couple of years out, do those credits still apply if they want to go on to university?
Christy, that might be for you.
It will depend on what year they want to enter university. So each year we go back and work with the universities on what that looked like. So at that point in time, then you'll be able to apply for recognition of prior learning and your credits can transfer over. So we can work with you on that.
Down the back again.
I just wanted to ask about the Wednesdays. When you said Wednesdays are the day that they don't come in, and you said there was 80 hours of work experience. Is that a work experience day or just a little confused about that?
Yeah, our course is substantial. There are other courses in the market which are doing a diploma course. and don't do 4 days. We do 4 days. We find that Wednesdays, and I'll let Max speak about this, but because we actually have weekend work and we have after hours work, it also offsets that. And we understand that we're at that age of earning income, travelling. So a Wednesday is a really good day to catch up on work and getting things done. So in a practicality day, it might mean them going to do some connection with a school or with a workplace or their own personal work, which gives them that experience in the community. So it allows them to have some funds and pay for that car and do all those things that we do that. So instead of having 5 days flat out all the way through, it gives us an opportunity for us to experience the real world coming out of a strong education system, to be organised, have those organisational skills, and I'll use the word personal development. The 80 hours is practical work and is also placement work, which could happen in that day on that Wednesday if that's required. It's additional to your, I'm smiling because some of the people ask some of their assessment work, can we use that as our practical hours? No, that's part of the course of their voluntary work. But I'll give Max the microphone, but yes, it is separate.
So obviously like with the 80 placement hours, so we do have the 4 days a week, the Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday here. With the 80 hours, for example, with me, I work 6 days a week. So Wednesday I have completely off. Wednesday is basically my weekend. So for me, for my 80 hours of placement, I volunteered at MU games and stuff like that. That was on the weekend. So it can, if you do find something that is available on Wednesday, you could do that on Wednesday. But if you want the Wednesday completely off, then you just need to do the 80 hours on Friday nights, weekends, holiday camps. We've got a few coming up that we as a class have the opportunity to volunteer for. So it's just wherever you can pick them up, really.
With the 40-hour placement, basically how we've structured it is that it's 6 weeks, and within that 6 weeks, the students can allot themselves the time that they would like to. So for some, I think they do 5 hours each week, finishing off the last week with 7 hours, and I think that rounds off the 40. And then they can do that on a Wednesday. They can come into the club, they can be in the office with whomever they're under doing that placement, or they can do it at home and just be on the phone and emailing whichever manager they're under. So does that sort of answer that? Yeah? Cool.
So
is there much time outside the course for them to go and do part-time work to earn an income? I mean, most of the students here from SEA have got basketball commitments on during the week, Friday nights. Doesn't leave much time for part-time work to earn an income.
So I personally vouch for this. So the strict hours for the class is really from the Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. We start at 9:30, finish at 2:30. But it is, some days it's rough. But it is very much a course that the more you put into it, the more you get out. So there is still time. As I mentioned, I work 6 days a week. So that's on the days we do have school. I start working at 3 o'clock and I don't finish till 11 o'clock at night. So there is lots of opportunities to still do work, and I ref and play basketball, so I've still got those basketball commitments outside. So there is still times for that. There might be occasionally something that comes up where it will be, do you want to do this for Melbourne United or do you want to play basketball, and you will have to pick one or the other. But for the most part, you are able to both do basketball, have a job, and still do this course and volunteer and all that stuff. Yeah, a little bit.
In my programming and my communication with the students, that is really something I take aware of, that we do have jobs and we do have opportunity to earn income. So keeping that pattern and that consistency of what the expectation of the student is there, but also having that flexibility. We have some students who might have started work at 6 o'clock at Bunnings and get in at 10. So, hey, John, I'm going to be late this morning for half hour. And you go, great work, no worries, we'll work with you in that sense where that happens. But we don't try to make an ultimatum. You either come to your course or you do your job. We understand there's also family commitments, and there's also situations in your life that require you to be where you need to be. And this man here can vouch for that as well. So I think it comes with a bit of consistency and a bit of common sense, but understanding that we do make a commitment and the course has opportunities, and there's going to be situations in your workplace when family commitments and time are going to take place, but you need to be able to communicate that.
Yes.
Do you have many of the kids who play like Big V? Do many of them do that as well?
I'm not 100%, like pretty much everyone in the class I think does play basketball to some extent. I'm not sure how many play there are a few people that do play at a high level and are looking to potentially play professionally. But yeah, it is pretty spread out between some people that don't play at all to people who do play 7 days a week. So there's everything on the spectrum in between.
We're actually doing a sample of the quality of their basketball prior to this program and finishing. This facility is the best backyard they've ever had opportunity at. So they come out and practice their skills and have opportunity. We're very, very fortunate to have that access to that area. And Rosie's been amazing in that sense. So yeah, but if we had an elite athlete come into our program, it's going to be a bonus for us to understand that, especially with advanced coaching, sports psychology, all of these great things. And we would understand, hey, where does this work for us, and how do we make you the best person you can be, and how does it fit for the program to be in that sense. So again, it doesn't come down to that ultimatum. How does this work for you? We would love you to be involved. That's the one question I get asked when I tell people what I'm doing. Oh, they're all elite athletes. No, they're not. They're extremely passionate about their basketball, number plates and tattoos and things like that. But yeah.
Yes.
Have you got any sort of stats or anything yet on the outcome, like on the kids that go through and get a job relating to what they're studying? Yeah, or is it too long?
It's only been a few years, but yeah, there would be a couple of them.
I'm just thinking about the actual real jobs that are there.
Yeah.
Have gone through and they've got employment because of whether it's their connection
Sure.
or the study that they've qualified. How many?
CETA might be able to answer this, but across the board it has, and what we are moving towards is trying to go, how do we give these people an opportunity for internships, but preparing them enough that they can actually step out and have a go at that. So while it's a 1 year course, I look to long-term development of, okay, are they job ready?
Yeah. Or like those, or maybe those that go on because it's the gateway to what they want to go on to.
Yeah.
You don't know any
No, not at the moment, but there would be some that we can explain and
sure.
see that through. But yeah, it's getting them prepared for what the real world's like and understanding that, as I said earlier, the sporting industry, having experience and being a teacher, I earn a lot more money teaching and I have a lot more different experiences. I go back to the sporting industry any day, but my opportunity to work in that is a lot harder because of, and Nick could be able to verify this as well, there's such a wider opportunity for people to come and be involved, and therefore the pay scale's a lot lower. But that's preparing them to go, okay, you want to come into an entry level, this is what you need to do there if you want to move to this area. So it's preparing them and getting them real about that environment. But yes, we have had students in the past, and I'm sure we'll be able to show that. But we'd be very proud to have, going forward, our first Melbourne United basketball person coming through in that job area, and scholarship programs and things like that. We'd love to be involved in.
And I think it's just the change in, there's so many sporting clubs, as I mentioned before, in Melbourne, that coming out of here and then potentially working at another club in Melbourne provides that opportunity, because they're always making sure they're finding people who've got, the will to want to learn and start somewhere as well. And the CETA group do an incredible amount of across football and soccer and all different programs, and there's no doubt over the last decade there'd be some fantastic stories that would have come out.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say about 50% of the cohort will go on to further study, so they will take a university pathway, because we started the sport and business program a couple of years ago. They're still kind of in the thick of that. Students will go on to do things like teaching, psychology, all those sorts of things. We have other students who go on and they become AMBOs. And so there are all different parts. We have some students that will choose to just take a job. They might go on to do a trade. So they might decide that actually the sporting industry is not where they want to be. They love the program and it suited them for that point in time, but it's not where their career kind of passion lies. Other students will go on and do travel and sort of that sort of thing. So it's a pretty broad mix, but most of the cohort will go on to further studies. So
the person who's appearing there works at TLA at the moment, which is a very big organisation in sports management. I saw him the other day, he was here, and yeah, which is fantastic. So let's follow through and getting students back in to communicate what's going on.
I actually studied this like 25 years ago, and I'm a nurse. I went up to nurse, but yeah, I'm going to stick with that. But amazing.
That's wonderful.
These placements that you talk about, do you help them get it, or is it all them?
No, we help them
You help.
with the placement. So the 40-hour placement is done here within the Melbourne United organisation. If a student has an interest and we have a partner, so for instance Dermot Gyms partnered with us, are they still with us? Yeah, they're still one of our partners. If we have a student, for instance, that's interested in going into sort of that industry, personal training, etc., we'll certainly reach out to Dermot and see if they can help us out, and they have done that with a couple of students, so that's an example outside of business, but most of them are done here and they're done with our senior management team.
Just with that, they send through, this is a profile, this is what the job or the position is, this is what the expectation is. So it's more than just getting upstairs and packing bags or, you know, some real, Max, do you want to share what you had to do?
So basically how it happened was at the start of the year we got a list of basically these are all placements. They aim to get everyone in the class to have a go having a placement at a different time. I was lucky to have mine in term 1, basically first off the bat. I actually did have a conversation with Sue and she talked to me that I did ticketing membership as my #1 preference, and she did say how there were actually a lot of people upstairs how they came into the organisation through that pathway. So that's part of the reason I want to do it, is having a pathway that lots of others had to have a better chance. But yeah, and obviously with it, what I had to do is I had to go through and research basically every NBL team, a bunch of different AFL teams, and go through their membership and ticketing packages that they have, different one-off events that are in Melbourne, and I actually went through and looked at NBA memberships as well, and compared it to Melbourne United's memberships. So I did that for the whole term, and then at the end, Fiona, who's in charge of ticketing memberships here, I basically had a meeting with her and I pitched all my findings to her and basically suggested how they should change or what they should add to Melbourne United's memberships from there.
Did they change it?
I think she was already working on the membership pages, so I don't know if there's any changes yet, but
It definitely has been some changes, actually, some have come through.
a little bit.
I think that's the great thing about it, that you can make change, and the ideas, and that's something that we really embrace, is around being curious and wanting to come up with ideas. And you know, you look at NBA, there's an idea the NBA team might do one week, and the following week we can roll that out at John Cain Arena as a Melbourne United idea that might have come from one of the students. So I think that's the creativity and the opportunities you have. And as Jono said, yeah, the opportunity, the kids do love shooting hoops here, especially the players have a day off at certain days of the week, and if it's not a Wednesday, it's happy days in here with the students pretty much having a run of the show here. So on behalf of all of us here, thank you so much for your time. You know, we really look forward to hopefully seeing a lot more of you over the next year or so, and please, as we said, we can do more of a tour, but if you've got any more questions, make sure you're following up and look at the QR code as well of how you want to be able to get into that. So there's the QR code. Come and take a photo of that now, and we'd love you to apply now. And